So in the spiralians, we will be discussing about the next thing, which are the lophophorids. And in the lophophorids, we will be discussing about the brachiopoda in detail. So brachiopoda, these are the most successful invertebrate phyla. Invertebrate that these do not have a vertebral column. When did they appear? They appeared during the earlier Cambrian period, and they diversified during the Paleozoic. They dominate the low-level suspension feeding benthos, as we have discussed earlier. Benthos are the bottom of the sea. So there was a lot of organic matter there. They dominated there. They had the food, and they started diversifying there. What is the morphology of the brachiopods? The brachiopods' soft parts are enclosed by the two morphologically different shells or the valves with variety of muscles. So these variety of muscles are helping them open and close those two shells. The ventral or the pedicle valve is larger. So ventral means anything that comes down, it is called ventral. So the valve which is down here, that is the larger one. And it is also attached with the pedicle, the attachment foot, the ancient foot that is used for the attachment with the surfaces or the movement. So that is the larger one, so the down one. And we will be seeing that in the next slide here. So you can see a particular terabutylide, and you can see the internal features of it, right? So you have the lophophore. Lophophore is the internal arm, the filamentous feeding structure. And you can see the dorsal valve. Dorsal valve is the smaller one. And then comes the ventral valve, which is the larger one that you can see. And the ventral valve is also called pedicle valve. So, and these are the internal feature of terabutylide. And in here, you can see the external terminology of a typical articulate. So articulate is further form of these particular spiralians. These are having the ventral valve. You can see the ventral valve in this picture. There is the pedicle foramen. Any pore that is coming out of a solid structure, for example, a bone or a shell, that is called foramen in the anatomical terms. So here, this is the pedicle foramen in which the muscles of the foot are coming out. And then there is the deltoidium, the tibial plates, ribs, growth lines, and the dorsal valve. So how these brachiopods have been distributed in time? So these were distributed among the Cambrian, Paleozoic, and modern brachiopod faunas. So these were first diversified during the Cambrian, then they flourished during the Paleozoic era, and today we are also having the considerable population of the brachiopods. These are fundamentally different because in different times there were very much extinction events happening in between them. So one time an organism is flourishing, but extinction event happens, and then another type of brachiopod is diversifying there, and then it become extinct, and another type of brachiopod is diversifying and radiating from there. So we will be discussing about that as well. So dominance of different order was happening in different era of the time. For example, the Cambrian, Paleozoic, and modern eras. So the Cambrian faunas were dominated by a range of non-articulated groups, and these group of disparate articulated taxa, and these were the ciliids, noctuids, and oblilides. And then comes the Ordovician radiation. So as we have discussed about the Ordovician radiation, there was a very large extinction event, and after that the organisms start to diversify after that. That means the organisms which were able to survive, they reproduced, and they were able to make more and more species and able to flourish more because there were some unoccupied niches where they could able to survive. So these were the Deltidiodont and orthoids and the Strophomonids. So these are the organisms which were present after the Ordovician radiation. And they first evolved during the early Ordovician island complexes. So island complexes were during the early Ordovician. in the island complexes, they were able to evolve there. Now, after that, they dominated the shelf benthos and bases of the Paleozoic brachiopod fauna. That means after that, they moved away towards the broader part of the oceans, and they were having the large brachiopod faunas during the Paleozoic era.